Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast series, Sci-ROI Tales. This series provide an opportunity for Sci-ROI members and followers to hear the stories and experiences of STEM professionals from India. I am Shivaraj Mohanasundaram, doing my postdoctoral fellowship at the Max Planck Institute for Multidisciplinary Sciences, Germany, and I am a member of the current Sci-ROI leadership team. Today, I will host the first episode of Startup Venture Stories in Sci-ROI Tales. I am here with Mr. Vivek Mishra today. Vivek is the founder, director, and chief executive officer of Fibroheal Woundcare Private Limited. Fibroheal was established in 2017. It is based on silk protein derived wound care management solution. By using the biomaterialistic properties of silk and silk proteins, they aim to treat acute and chronic wounds. It was remarkable how quickly Fibroheal gained numerous accolades, including winner of Elevate 100, one of the most innovative biotech startups organized by the Department of Information Technology and Biotechnology, Government of India. Fibroheal was also selected as the winner of the Startup of the Year award at the Bangalore Tech Summit 2020. Further, Fibroheal was also the winner of the National Technology Award in 2020 for startups organized by the Technology Developmental Board at a statutory board body under Department of Science and Technology. Also, Fibroheal won Best IP Managed MedTech Startup during Biopharma World IE 2021. Moreover, Fibroheal was a finalist for the 2020 National Startup Awards. It is my pleasure to welcome you, Vivek, and thank you for sharing your success story with us.
Thank you, Shivraj. Thank you for bringing me to your platform.
Thank you again. And to start with, would you mind sharing with us a few details about your academic background with our audience who will be curious to know?
Yeah, sure, Shivraj. So, I was born in a small place in a state called Uttar Pradesh in India. I did my schooling from Arunachal Pradesh, to be precise, a government school, government higher secondary school, SEPA. That's in the border of India and China in that Seven Sisters state. So, Arunachal Pradesh is where I did my schooling. Followed by I did my pharmacy. During pharmacy, I was always interested in research, but again, one incident, I was always a little weak student when it comes to maths and other things. So one incident where my dad felt that I won't be able to do an MBA, that inspired me to do an MBA. Okay. And I never thought that I will end up starting a venture, R&D driven venture, because that interest was always there. And I completed my pharmacy from Odisha, one of the oldest college called College of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Birampur, followed by MBA in General Management, and started my career in edutech space with a company called Simply Learn Solutions. I moved on to a couple of companies, and before bumping on to this concept of silk, where we realized that it might have great potential, and then collaborating with right people and ended up forming Fibroil in the year 2017. So that's been brief academic and my professional journey, Shivraj.
Ah, nice, nice. So, this brings to my next question. Let's talk a little bit about the conception and the early steps of Fibroheal. For instance, who inspired you to start your company, and when did you decide to follow this path?
Yeah, so well, this is an interesting question. I was working for when I was studying pharma itself, I learned that silk is used as sutures and it has some medicinal properties that I had read during some of the theoretical classes. But again, it passed by. Later on, when I was with Tata Chemicals leading the rice seed business, I met some farmers who discussed about hunted silk, and that little bit fascinated me, that a living organism lives inside a perfectly closed system, that is cocoon. And as I was digging deep into, I was connected to one of my other co-founders, Mr. Bharat Tandon, through a cardiothoracic surgeon. And that's how we realized that he is also interested in silk proteins, and he has built a company in animal health space called Vetcare, which was later on acquired by Cargill. So he was a guy who is in the late 50s. I was someone who was in early 20s, and somehow when we interacted, it struck, and together we started exploring potential of silk, because a lot of research has happened across the world on silk and its various biometrical applications. Silk has been used in sutures and other medical related things for quite some time, but never it was explored in the area of wound healing. However, some theoretical aspects were there. Some, what do we say? Some we could see a lot of papers which has been published, but not even a single product. And that's what motivated us that yes, here we could make a difference. And we started digging deep, and one thing led to other, leading to formation of the company Fibroheal Woundcare in the year 2017.
Very nice. So since you said papers has been published and not nothing much has been done in the therapeutic direction, so Fibroheal actually already obtained two patents in the last decades, like, such as Fibroheal, a silk protein based surgical wound dressing to fasten wound healing, and then the second one is Fibrovid, a broad spectrum antiseptic wound healing ointment. Can you share with us a little bit of your experience and the challenges startups in general face during the patenting process? Do startups face any particular changes, especially in India?
Yeah, so Sivaraj, this is a very good question what you have asked. I would like to tell you that the problems what the startup faces across the world is common. Somewhere you will say that funding constraint is there, because often people talk only about the funding challenges and those kind of things, but not to forget one of the most difficult challenges is how do you ensure that the team buys into your vision and they look at the bigger picture to create that impact and difference. Once you do that, funding and all other problems can be resolved. There is always a solution for all of that. There is n number of policies from even government of India or across the world, who which is there to help a lot of startups raise money at early stage, even including very early stage and even in biotech startup. Probably in India, there are, based on the Shark Tank of US, India has also started a Shark Tank. And this year, if you see, a lot of biotech related companies have been featured in there, bio related companies. Now, there is a lot of government scheme, including seed scheme, then Department of Biotech has a lot of schemes to support some of these innovations. So startups, if you see in India, in last about 6 to 7 years, the startup ecosystem has been very, very robust. The government has been very supportive. Regulatory has been much more open to discuss and understand the challenges and address it what is best for the country. So that way I could say that this is the golden time, when someone who is having a thought, better to jump into the wagon and explore the opportunity what is it's there. I'm discussing from the Indian perspective and based on my experience what I faced. But one of the important aspect is funding is not the CA challenge. Building up a team and ensuring that you have this team left and you look at you when you chase the bigger vision of creating that impact. That is what is the most important thing, Suraj.
Mm, it's very nice, actually. This actually also nearly covered my next question, which is like, um, in your experience, how you had a 2020 DBT Birac Biotechnology Industry Research Associate Council funding, as well as Center for Cellular and Molecular Platforms grant recipient. How hard it is to support and funding in India for startups. This you nearly covered the questions. So, but I can also ask as an additional question in this same direction. So, does teaming up with other startups would help to acquire more funding? For an example, not all the companies are having patents. Uh, so, in this context, do you share your experience or any comments?
Yes, I will definitely add to this point. So again, I will slightly correct you, Sivraj. Collaborations are always welcome, not necessarily for funding. I have collaborated with many startups which address some of my pain points, and we address some of their pain points across the world. We have collaborations. But the important aspect is raising the right amount of money at the right valuation. Example, let's say if you need $100 million, argument's sake, please don't accept anything which is say $500 million. I mean, that is 500. If you need say $100,000, please don't accept if you are getting $500,000, because what is the important aspect is some crunch is always better. That brings out innovation in you. You figure out a way to solve those problems. Once you have excess cash lying with you, you tend to find methods, which money will do. And that's not what startups are supposed to do, because not to forget that bigger houses has much more deeper pockets, and they will be able to create much more impact. So your leanness and your ability to push things through is what matters the most. I definitely agree to you that collaboration is very important aspect, not only with startup, even with academia. And to this aspect, I would like to highlight to you, we have got almost a dozen partnerships with various leading institutes across the world. And we have also supported some of the students under PMRF program, Prime Minister Research Fellowship, and with Indian Institute of Science. So collaboration both with startups, along with academia, and along with the investment fraternity or those bodies, that is very important. Funding is one aspect, but the sheer knowledge and know-how what you share among each other helps you to push things through, and helps you to address various issues. So that is my take on various collaborations, not only with startups but even with academia and other stakeholders.
Oh, nice. So, slightly related question actually. What are your preferences for outsourcing or in general international collaborations? Any geographical oriented or any theme oriented?
Not directly, but yes, we are open to collaborations. Whoever is working in the area of silk proteins, or in the area of wound healing, diabetic ulcer, those kind of things, we are quite open. We have also got about a couple of collaborations, one in Australia, one in Europe. We have that way. We have some collaborations already with some startups, companies, as well as individual research labs of some of the profs. So we are open for collaborations, and we feel that this is beneficial for the larger good of bringing something which will be worthwhile for the society and the world in general. So it's important. It's very important to be in a collaborative approach and partner with people who share the vision or who are working in similar direction to create something which can impact many lives.
Nice. So I'm sure that you made the Australian collaboration definitely. Your exposure helped a lot. So, for instance, a couple of weeks ago, you were invited to present innovations of Fibroheal at the G20 Digital India Alliance in Bangalore. Do you have any recommendation for new startups on how to get good exposure, like how Fibroheal receives and commercialize their products in the market?
Yes, that's for that. One of the important aspect is keeping close bonding and relationship with various stakeholders. For example, Karnataka governments initially gave me a grant, followed by we got money from Department of Biotech, Government of India, in the form of grant, in the form of money, in the form of equity, debt, and today Karnataka government has invested in our company. They have picked up equity in the company, and this is the sheer reason because when they saw that like an infant in the year 2019 when we won Elevate 100, when they gave us a grant money, and then picking up equity in our company when they realized that in 2022 that infant is growing very fast and we should be part of their growth journey and support. When you have that kind of support from the ecosystem, they will pave way, they will give you connections. And for example, in this G20 meeting, when we were invited, there were 12 startups which were selected, and Fibrohill was one among them, only from the biotech segment, because of the sheer thought process of Karnataka government that yes, we are doing something worthwhile from silk. We are the first company to be commercializing silk protein for wound healing, which has economic multiplier potential. When I say economic multiplier potential, means the silk growing farmer gets the benefit. The patient who is treated, is treated at a much competitive price, and the load on the nursing staff and the treating surgeon is less, and it is replacing something which is imported in India. Most of these wound dressings are imported in India. A lot of about around 85% medical devices are imported in India. So when you are addressing the right code and when you have collaboration with the right people, they will figure out a way how you should commercialize, where you should be there, and they will always advise you. For example, the student whom we have supported under PMRF for her PhD, she presents us at various academic forums. Of course, Fibrohill name also gets that exposure in those forums. That yes, a collaboration has led to some innovation, and to let you know that her research work is coming into is taking a form of a product, and it will be commercialized in next couple of years. So that's such a happy thing for everyone, that there is a problem what we wanted to address. We collaborated with an academic guy, and then we moved forward and brought that product. So collaboration is the key, and ensuring that you always service those relationships. That will help you to open up a lot of gates to ensure that you get that exposure, get that necessary connections, and help you to build your and scale up your startup.
Oh, nice, nice. So this also actually, you mentioned like what you had recently one student under the Prime Minister Research Fellowship, and who also got PhD from IISc. So, in the same direction, how Fibroheals hires people, and what are the requirements Fibroheals look for it in the job applicants' curriculum, and what is the general hiring process of Fibroheal in general?
So in our case in Fibroheal, we always look for good people. It's in the area of R&D, both in terms of lab, in terms of newer research, in terms of analytical methods. We are also looking at people in production and various other areas. One of the important criteria is what we look for in the people whom we explore is the energy levels, because as a startup, one of the most important requirement what we have is high energy, which we put more value than the skill sets and then the degrees. So that is one of the aspects. Secondly, the keenness to learn and create an impact. For example, even if someone applies for a job, many people they follow up quite a bit, few people who don't follow up it. But at the same time, when someone is applying for a role, let's say someone is applying for a role in R&D in Fibroheal, have they understood the company? Have they got into the details that what do we do? Because we get a lot of plain applications ki, hey, I found your company to be good, I would like to explore this opportunity, I have done this thing in let's say dorsofila based this thing. Now we know that that is not our area of interest. Our area of interest is wound healing, tissue regeneration, antimicrobial resistance, or something which can lead to wound healing or silk or those kind of things. When that kind of application comes with some background of the company, we are much more open to read and go through the details. And these are some of the things we take care of. We are always open, and we always look at each CVs. Only thing is, as a startup, you have limited opportunities. So whenever it comes, we go back to the pool where they have submitted or the candidates have applied for, and we look at the best fit, and then we try to connect and explore the mutual possibilities, how we can build something together, if the person is interest is aligned with the goal of the company. But most important aspect is the high energy level and their own homework of what the company does.
Mm. Nice. So, coming back to the same my previous question. So, when you are recruiting students and then getting more innovations of Fibroheal, planning to get more Fibroheal innovations even in our next level, I'm sure you might have a scientific advisory board within Fibroheal. Can you please share some of your insights in this regard with our listeners?
Sure. Advisory board is one of the very important aspect which I feel not only scientific, we have both scientific, medical as well as commercial. When we talk about scientific, medical and commercial, you need to be all three aligned. So we have scientific advisory board where we have some of the leading professors across the world who are on our panel, and who form the advisory board, who advise us, and whenever they are in Bangalore they drop by our office. So that kind of thing is there. We have a medical board where a lot of leading surgeons across the country, because marrying science with the medical and making commercial sense is important. And similarly, we have a lot of private equities, VCs, and people who have built companies, they are also there. So we have these three kind of advisory board. We have that is scientific, medical, and commercial, and we try to marry it and create a path. And that has been one of the success mantras why Fibroil has been able to scale up so fast.
Nice. So I assume this can be nicely reflected in this. For an example, one of the Fibroheal products, D-Fibroheal Scarlite, was one of your post-operative products, and it's been nicely formulated with a special focus on women who undergo cesarean sections. Given such innovation, what has been your biggest learning experience as running an research and development based company?
Yes. So regarding this question, one of the most important aspect is you need to keep your eyes and ears on the ground. Unless you make your hands dirty, you will never get to know. So while developing this product, Scarlite, which looks so nice, when we tried addressing this issue of post-operative dressings, we realized that this is one of the tough challenges to bring this product in the marketplace at the right price point. And we introduced D-Fibroheal Scarlite on Women's Day to ensure that post suturing, that approximation when they keep and suture it, it should be able to hold the suture at one place. At the same time, it should be able to provide the moisture as well as some of the goodness of silk and another material which will helps in faster wound closure and less scar formation. So that's how the name itself is Scarlite. So some of the challenges is, how do we address the market? Because Scarlite, this type of product was not there. No product was there in the form of a dressing. You had product something which was like a gel and other things which people can apply for scar. So some days when you meet lot of gynecologists and you try to understand their problem, they come up with this thing. This is one area where if you come up with a solution, there is an opportunity which you can create. So one of the important aspect of the founding team or the core team, whether it is R&D or manufacturing or whosoever or the new product development, it's important to keep a connect with the marketplace, that what where that need gap exists and how you can develop a product market fit, a product which will fit the market and where there is a need. And if you are able to do that, and with your having your own R&D setup with that unique advantage, and if the product performs, definitely there is a place for anyone to succeed in this world.
Oh, nice. Can you also, as a follow-up question, can you also tell how cost effective for the people who get benefits of this Scarlite?
No, we have. It's quite cost effective because almost if we have basically we have three dressings for it. So we have the first product is called suture dress. Immediately after suturing, you have to apply it for first 3 days. Generally, this is when a woman after post C-section is in hospital. Once she moves out, we recommend Scarlite because first 3 day chances of infection is very high, and that's when the surgical site infections or suture site infection happens. So suture dress is the product where we have silk and silver, which helps in ensuring that wound is not infected or the stitch is not infected. Next is Scarlite. Scarlite is little what do we say, little moist in nature, and this is a waterproof dressing which can be applied on the site for up to 10 days. So next is, they apply it and then they send the patient home. The patient will be able to even take bath wearing Scarlite. After 10 days, there is a step down process. What we have a product called Fibroscar, which we recommend for about 4 weeks. And that's when the scar will be, very, very negligible or minimal. So that is how we have formulated, because we have understood that need, just developing one product or one dressing won't address all the stages. So first 3 days for infection, second 10 days for ensuring that that approximation is right and the dressing is in place, and the next is ensuring that the scar is very, very light. So that's what is the three-step formula what we follow for C-section scar.
So you actually grow up in Arunachal Pradesh, and you have your company established in Bangalore. How does the transition work, and what made you to move to Bangalore?
uh, Sivraj, it's destiny. No one, I mean, nothing is bigger than destiny. But on a good note, you know, when you stay in, I was born in UP, I grew up in Northeast, I studied in Orissa. All these places give you that, stamina that, I can survive anywhere and I can still make that difference. When I came to Bangalore, I mean, I was having no friends, no, I mean, it was a totally new city for me. And I ended up forming Fibroheal here and then, building, and now Bangalore is my home. Karnataka is my home state. So it's exactly like, what is the bigger goal in life, what is the vision what you are carrying, and this place and other things are all secondary. If you have that vision, if you have that firepower and will to create that impact, I'm sure all other stars will get aligned naturally, and they will ensure that you whatever thoughts you have, you will reach there.
Oh, nice. So this would actually lead to my next question. Basically, where do you see Fibroheal in 5 years from now? Have you set any goals or anything, such as since you moved from Arunachal Pradesh to Bangalore, do you also have any plans to move, have your branches anywhere, other part of India, or any other innovations you have planned in your for next 5 years?
Yes. So to let you know, even today we are present in almost 25 states in the country. We are present in almost every major city. More than 500 hospitals across the country are using our products. More than 1 lakh patients have been benefited with our range of products, even till date. Now coming to the next 5 year goal plan, I have not planned for 5 years, but definitely in next 24 to 36 months, we will be among the top three wound care companies in Indian market. Among top three, when I say top three, this includes some of the leading multinationals companies like Smith and Nephew, Convatec, Coloplast, those kind of multinational companies. We will be among the top three in next 24 to 36 months due to the comprehensive product portfolio what we have, due to the bandwidth what we are carrying, in terms of addressing different types and stages of wounds. And that's where I will not discuss about 5 years, but I will discuss about 2 to 3 years, that is 24 to 36 months, that we will be among one of the top three companies in wound care space addressing different types of wounds.
Oh, nice, nice. So we are almost heading toward the end of the session. So we will quickly ask the most important question. What is your one piece of advice as a successful entrepreneur to someone just starting out to set up a startup company?
Yeah, so I will highlight not one, but I will give two pieces of advice. One is don't lose focus, and second, action is bigger than any strategy. So one, if you are able to focus, don't lose focus. Even when the days are tough, ensure that you are focused for the bigger cause. And second, don't get into that overthinking mode, get into action mode, because you decide this strategy, that strategy. Trust me, action is what decides you between where you will reach and what you had planned. Strategy and all these things are over kind of hyped. So focus and action is 2 point of advice what I would like to give it to the audience who has watched it. And these two things has personally helped me also to scale up Fibroheal to the level what we are today.
Oh, nice. So last but not the least, is there anything you would like to suggest to our Sci-ROI podcast listeners?
Yeah. So Sivaraj, I mean, this is a great initiatives. I would suggest the guys, who are the students or people whoever is listening to Sci-ROI podcast, this type of events, just don't take as a motivational lesson. Try to create an impact on your own in whatever way, at your college level, at your company level, at your academic level, or at your industry level, or teaching level, or whatsoever. Just don't look at this as a motivation impact, but look at how that motivation I can translate into some action. And that some action can be as simple as improving one of the processes, one of the things at your level, at your department level, at your lab level, or at your. So even one small impact will solve much of the problems. And if you get into that mode, trust me, within 6 months and 12 months and 18 months and 24 months, you will see that how you have evolved as a person and what all impact you would have created with a minor thing of being action oriented, and try to create an impact at wherever you are, at whatever level you are, at that impact. So that is one thing, what I would like to tell to the listeners of Sci-ROI podcast, Sivraj.
Oh, nice. So actually, we would love to continue our conversations, but we have to end the show here for the sake of time. Thank you, Vivek, for patiently answering all our questions and sharing your insights, which would definitely help our podcast listeners with the transition process back to India and establishing their own startups. It has been a pleasure hosting you on our podcast series. We wish you and Fibroheal all the best. Hope to see you again someday at Sci-ROI during one of our future events.
Thank you, Sivraj, and thanks for having me on your platform. And I also wish Sci-ROI podcast all success and all the best to you and everyone. Thank you.